first dance class was at the Kelly School of Dance in Joliet, Illinois. Both Mr. and Mrs. Kelly taught. They were a dynamite couple. I remember being in one of their recitals. I wasn't on until the second half, so I said to my mother, "You go on, see the whole show, and I'll come just in time for my piece." And I lay down on the couch and I fell asleep. And I got up just in time for my dance, and I dashed off to the theater and ran backstage just in time to see the cast for my dance coming off stage. They'd gone on without me. I was mortified. My parents were miffed. My partner wouldn't speak to me. I must have learned something, because I only missed one performance in the next 30 years. Then I was taking the train to Chicago to study classical ballet with Bentley Stone and character dance with Walter Cameron at the Stone Cameron School of Dance. I remember being in one of their recitals. It was a pas de six, a triple duet, and all the girls wore these big skirts that were held out to the side with all those underskirts and hoops and everything, like in Giselle. And as I was swinging my partner, the straps, all those underskirts broke, and they all flew off into the wind. And when I set her down, her dress hung straight. But nothing else was wrong. So we finished the dance, two square dancers, and a chemise. My first big-time modern dance experience was with the Jose Limon Dance Company in New York City. Jose was really an important choreographer of the 20th century. The circle was one of his favorite things. It was big, strong, masculine movement, and I loved it. And they gave me money to travel around the country and do it. I would have done it for free. And I had to go back to New York and make a living driving a cab. I remember the year I became a successful dancer in New York. That was the year that I was employed for 20 weeks. If you were employed for 20 weeks, that was the magic number, because then you got to go down to City Hall and stand in line for your unemployment compensation check. That was the mark of being a successful dancer. You worked long enough to qualify for unemployment. I remember Jose wanting to get away from the hustle, the ringing telephone at Juilliard, where the company was rehearsing, and he said, "What do you drink, son?" And I said, "Jim Beam." So we bought a bottle of Jim Beam and went down to Greenwich Village and watched the old men play chess. And night fell, and we noticed that a lot of the buildings in Greenwich Village had columns of red windows, vertical columns of windows with red lights behind them. And we wondered what those red lights were. Jose said it was the devil, and we had to chase the devil across the rooftops and fire escapes of Greenwich Village. And years later, I found out that those vertical rows of red windows, they marked the fire escapes in the building. It was for the fire department. Got a new girlfriend. We were staying in a B&B in New England. We were going to be there a couple of days, so we went out shopping, and I bought the big bottle of wine. We'd be there a few days. We made dinner, had a couple glasses of wine. By 9 o'clock, I looked over and I saw that she had drunk that whole bottle about a half an inch. And she was really getting kind of slurred. So I said, "Well, listen, maybe that's enough. Listen, why don't I just pour the red. And she had a hell of a grip. I finally pulled the bottle out of her hand. I poured it down the drain, and that really pissed her off. Then she started beating up. I thought we'd wake up the owner in the next bedroom, and she beat on me. We finally went to bed, and she just beat on me, and I'd push her over, and she'd lie down for a while, and get up and beat on me again. I pushed her over one time, and she rolled off the side of the bed, start up again. Finally, I leaned over to the side of the bed, and he was lying there really still in a big pool of blood. My heart stopped. I picked her up, and I put her on the bed. That got blood all over the bed, and so I picked her up and I put her in the tub, and I started washing her off with warm water, and I took all the bloody clothes off and started washing her. She kind of seemed okay, although she was really out pretty bad, and I started washing the clothes, and I washed all the bedding, I put it in the washer, and then had to run it through the rug. I had to sop up the blood out of the rug, and finally, after about 3 hours, I got the whole place cleaned up. I looked at her in the tub there. She was so peaceful. Not like the rage of the last night. So I put her in the clean clothes and laid her on the bed and went to sleep. And the next morning, I knew we had to have this out. We had to talk about this. I knew that. So I waited until she got up, which took quite a while. I told her the whole thing. I said, you know, too much wine, I pulled the bottle away, and you were beating on it, and I pushed you away, and the blood, and the cleaning up, and everything. I told her the whole thing, and she said, what blood? I don't see any blood. I don't believe you. I cleaned it up, and now it's like it never happened. When I first started dancing, I did it for fun. Nobody ever got me money for it. And then I started being in other people's dances, and that was interesting as well as fun, but of course nobody got any money for it. And then I started taking classes in jazz and ballet and modern, and that was difficult as well as interesting and fun, but of course nobody got any money for it. But boy, before I knew it, I was in New York, making a living as a dancer, doing 5 shows a day at the Yiddish Theater on 2nd Avenue. And all of a sudden, dancing wasn't much fun. Felix Phoebus, he was the choreographer of the Yiddish Theater. He would work at the following choreographic technique. He would do something, he'd say, okay, what did I do? And he'd have to try to remember, or more likely make up something, and he'd choose what he liked. So one day he says, David, he always called me David. David, step over your leg. I said, oh, you mean like this, Felix? Yes, okay, that's good. Everybody in the front row, step over your leg. David, you go in the back. You do it up in the air. Felix, I don't think that's an aerial maneuver. You thought I should get Danny to show you? Now, Danny was my big rival in the company, so I said, no, probably what you mean is something like this. Then I started getting commissions to do my own choreography from arts councils and sculpture dedication committees, symphony orchestras. And now the work not only had to be fun and interesting and difficult, but it had to be meaningful and important. So now I don't worry about whether it's meaningful or important, or even if it's difficult, although it still has some appeal. But really only if it's interesting and fun. But it's still hard not to worry about the money.